talk with those plants. Check them out. They're telling me stories. They're laughing at me. Are these plants laughing at me? Oh, man. What am I going to do? Yeah. Welcome, you all. Let's welcome in Curtis Humphrey, Kalpataru Tree. What's up? Let's give a round of applause. Hey, Curtis.
Hey.
Yeah. To see the people coming in on the telepathic balconies, getting like situated. People meditating on like floating carpets and floating docks of bamboo, all kinds of things. So welcome to Wake the Farm Up show. This is so cool and special to do a special episode with you and your voice. And, you've been such an encouraging part of Wake the Farm Up, bringing another layer of ambiance into these poetic conversations and flows that we've been having. And, at this amazing, beautiful table that's, connecting people with nature in a Hope's Day prepper kind of way that looks forward to, finding that experience of being, dancing, moving, connecting. I mean, for me, in my elfie ways, Curtis, one of the songs that really brought me deep into music of yours was the song Conversations with Plants. And that's something that's been a part of my life for decades now. And I feel you really, coming from somebody, again, that's, experienced conversations with plants for decades, you really captured that in a musical aspect that I could really feel. There's that experience when you work with certain plants all day, when you go to sleep at night. Those are the forms and patterns and shapes that you see inside your eyelids as you're falling asleep. And that song definitely invokes so many different plant spirit images into my head when I can just sit and be quiet and listen, like really listen into the songs. And, I just want to open up, you're an amazing creator, and I'd love to hear some of your story. And how did you, start, being inspired to make such epic ambient space with your music?
Wake the farm up.
for me, I think the catalyst that set me on this journey were some potent experiences when I was younger, kind of teenage, kind of early adult life, in which I discovered the magic of psychedelic downtempo as a genre that spoke to me quite profoundly, stood out. This was kind of early to mid 2000s. And I have always been a musician and a multi-track recorder. I mean, when I was quite young, 10, 11, 12 years old, I had some rudimentary tools to play with. And so I was always sort of naturally drawn to express myself in that way. And I guess I just, for whatever reason, a big flip got switched inside of me of endless inspiration that really catapulted me to go as deep as one could go in these realms. When I heard sort of early downtempo, global, like the psytrance sort of scene, global psytrance, finding within that scene that this juicy, delicious undercurrent of a genre that to me was much more powerful than the psychedelic trance and whatnot. So when I discovered that the endless creativity in that genre, I was doing everything I could in terms of acquiring the tools necessary and putting in the time to create in that way. So, what were some of the things that were keeping you busy and to activate in those times that made it feel real busy and whatnot? Well, I moved to San Francisco, the Bay Area, when I was in my mid-20s, and went to a school there, an institute. At the time, it was called the Globe Institute, and it was the only school of its kind that was focusing on sound healing and sort of the metaphysical properties of sound. And so that was the beginning of my deep dive, was moving there and sort of, simultaneously going to the late night events in the area and whatnot, and catching every musical act that was in that genre that I could catch at that time. And so, basically moving to the city and going to this school was really helped you kind of get into your internal neuron manual into how to start getting into the realm that you want to create with your music. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was always sort of steering in that. I mean, before I found psychedelic downtempo and these kind of things, I was always pretty much going in that direction already. But in the cultural environments in which I was raised, there was such a lack of any kind of scene or interest in this regard that really required me to go to the big city to have any exposure or influence. Share it and connect with people for real life. Yep. So psychedelic downtempo, that's kind of one of the genres that you feel seeded the realm that you've found yourself in. Can you describe what psychedelic downtempo would be for some of our audience listeners who might not know, have general idea maybe what they might think they would mean? Oh yeah, for sure. So psychedelic downtempo, as far as based upon what I've learned, is it's a genre that started popping up in the mid to late 90s. Techno and rave culture in around the world, but specifically in the UK and things like this. They were, doing all night party stuff. And within that environment, there was the chill out room became a staple of the phenomenon of rave culture. And some of the first ones that, and then within that space, it grew into sort of globally recognized artists. Like one of the first ones would be the Orb, for example.
Okay.
If anyone wanted to look up the Orb or isn't familiar with the Orb and little fluffy clouds, being sort of the first time that like that broad audiences would be exposed to psychedelic electronica down tempo.
The Orb.
So,
yeah, that sounds cool. We're gonna check it out. All right, elves, you go get it in there. Can you get into those archives? Yeah, man, we'll check it out.
Yeah, you know about the elves, right? I mean, they jump into this thing like they're little edit elves. They cross these wires around with these little switches in the back sides of these things. I don't even know how they do these things, but they're amazing, and so I roll with it,
Wow. Do they talk back? If I ask them questions.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they would. Hey, guys, do you want to ask them a couple questions? I'm totally, they're a couple of them are skipping over.
Yeah, we're cool with that.
Yo, what's up, elves? Yeah, I don't know if I have anything to say. It's kind of interesting that you're here right now. How's it going?
Kalpataru Tree is nizzle. Yeah, we can be down in the roots deep.
That's interesting. I didn't know about the elves. That's cool. Hi, elves.
Hey, how we doing? Hello, we're doing good. Hey guys, it's Curtis. Curtis from Kalpataru. Come here.
Woo!
We appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're all doing a little dance now.
So yeah, I don't want to get too nerdy about, my own kind of geeky tendency to, I must admit that I have a habit of
Please do.
trying to dissect, I guess, the music history timelines and figure out where this all came from. I could do a quick little thing. So before the Orb, I'm going to go back a little bit. I'm going to get nerdy here, geeky. And I'm going to say that reggae in Jamaica in the 70s and whatnot, and then the creation of dub music as a phenomenon, which is the important historical shift there was it was the first time that a mixing board was used as an instrument. And my music is crafted very similarly in that way, where a lot of the mixing becomes a form of the musical expression where, with effects knobs and send and return knobs and,
fades, and whoa.
equalizer, volume fader, this kind of thing, you can sculpt the various layers of sound, the various instrumentations in creative ways, and that becomes part of the expression. And so, yeah, going back to the dub roots of the just paying homage to the dub roots of psychedelic downtempo, because that sort of translated into that music as well, where the mixing board was a primary form of musical expression.
I love that. So that's like early synth kind of almost in a way.
Yeah, analog. Yeah, early early synth-ish. Yeah, for sure. To sculpt the sounds and turn the sounds into new sounds.
I'm so into studying this stuff. Just like, just to sculpt the sounds, like the poetic of that right there is so captivating to me.
Yeah.
Shoo.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's like kind of more like painting. Yeah, that's why with you, you're a permaculture identified person, and that is sort of listening to all these energetic plant beings and what they want, and giving them what they want. So you're arranging frequencies in that way. You're arranging different frequencies of plant beings in an environment, which then sings as a total, sort of like frequency or vibration of that environment.
Mm-hmm.
Every garden is like a song. If you walk in, and this flower is like, look at me, and then this bush is like, whoa, but look at me over here, and sort of like it's very similar to that.
Wow.
So just to come back to the conversations with plants song, and your musings on your own personal experience and relationship with plants, and like how a musical piece could sort of capture that
the sound of
it. And that it's cool that you had a powerful influence. You were influenced powerfully by my work, because I've always, the part of my sort of mission, intentions, ambition, etc., is to musically simulate, or to these phenomenons of nature, to create, to channel
mm-hmm.
like those kind of energies through sound, basically. These phenomenons of nature, these phenomenons of nature. These phenomenons of nature.
These phenomenons of nature.
Farm up, wake the farm up, wake the farm up.
These phenomenons of nature.
What the farm?
These phenomenons of nature. These phenomenons of nature.
Nature. nature.
Yeah, they definitely, like, a lot of the songs that you put out definitely work with different breath work techniques and movement, body movement of all different sorts. Whether, you know, it's like hiking or jogging or, you know, pulling weeds. Honestly, you know, coming from my, you know, garden, like, you know, for me, it's more so harvesting because I'm harvesting things everywhere. I honestly really don't have too many weeds. Like, there's a grass that gets in my forest garden, and I probably consider it a weed and aggressively weed it. But I have goats, so I'm like piling it, and it kind of turns into a handmade pile of hay, and then I can save it for later and give it to them, and they'll eat it. And like you said, that like that right there, which I described, is even like, you know, like I could be doing all that while having some Kalpataru songs playing from my house, and it like totally matches in with the ambience of the birds that are around in my forest. You know, it like the soundscape, it like really works into an organic experience. I don't want to use that word like in a grocery store kind of way, but more in the original poetic ways of the word. Biological experience, you know, and that's, you know, definitely something that I'm training my neurons, I guess, to really experience and liberate and feel and, you know, experience that through music has been a big part of my life for a long time, connecting with music. I've, you know, like I'm so, like I'm inspired, like what are some of the things that, you know, bring you more creative inspiration to keep creating, you know, like what are some of your higher goals or aspirations, I guess, that you hope to be able to do and share with your music, you know, in your journey creating?
Well, basically, to move from this point forward, after, you know, I've already put out pretty a lot of work, and my aspirations, you know, are always changing, and where I'm at with things now is sort of a production quality increases are always desirable.
Feel you.
To be able to polish something, but then, you know, I'm conflicted about that because sometimes, like for instance, the first album I put out, Scattered Fragments of the Eternal Dream, that has kind of a lo-fi quality to it, which I've grown to appreciate over the years, in terms of like sometimes the soul or somehow the raw energy comes through in a way that the lo-fi actually. And I'm just rambling right now because you asked me a completely different question.
No,
but I
love
guess
it.
I'm saying that I struggle right now. My current struggle, to bring it in to more to right now in your question, my current struggle is the how to get the most bang for your buck in terms of how to get into the tech world and utilize the tools available that allow this expression, but to not get caught up in the actual tools themselves and, you know, get too overly focused on like the need for production quality and this kind of thing, even though it is really important, because in terms of an audience, like I'm always wanting sort of like more of an audience, even though I'm not expressing through sort of like the economically motivated sort of business minded kind of like landscape of music. I'm more like I made a separation a long time ago about like I'm not trying to extract my livelihood from music, and so That being said, the listener still seems to require a top-notch production in order to open themselves up to the possibilities of what the music has to offer, because there's a tendency for people to just kind of, if it doesn't hit them in a way that they're familiar with,
Hit them in a way that they're familiar with.
Hit them in a way that they're familiar with.
Hit them in a way that they're familiar with.
Hit them in a way that they're familiar with. Hit them in a way that they're familiar with. Hit them in a way that they're familiar with. 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 That they're familiar.
that they're familiar with, they'll just kind of subconsciously shut it down. Just be like, oh, you know. So
yeah, they might come back around to it when it's remastered 20 years later or something. You know what I mean? That always happens. Like when like 9 out of their 10 friends are wearing their T-shirts of the song or something. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
it's like I've seen these things happen over the decades of my little elfie journey, and you know, it's like I appreciate you know, even like, you know, enjoying going back and listening to it, and like, you know, hearing how some of your early productions and feeling like your production has increased. I know I've definitely experienced that in the last 2 years, like, you know, being like a back porch musician that, you know, doesn't mess with too many wires or microphones and things, to like, you know, trying to start doing this podcast thing. It's been quite a journey of learning and looking back and hearing, you know, definitely I've, you know, gotten better, and I definitely still have that aspiration to, you know, do better production. And it's also one of those things, you know, I'm not making a living off of it. It's a creative atmosphere here, and I like to keep that open. You know, it's like you and I are creating and building, you know, a collaboration right here. That's really beautiful. We're active. We're doing creations. I know I've seen your you perform live shows, and you know, I'd love to hear about that. You know, because like you're talking about real life connections, you know, and going to the city to connect and actually connect with people, not just like hoping that it happens because you like somebody paid for a, you know, Facebook ad or something, you know, to promote a song or something. You know what I mean? There's like, you're doing active real life connection. And I know I've had friends in Connecticut who have told me they're excited about when you were playing in town there, and different, you know, like I'm fascinated just by like our connection through my podcast show with the music, like connection that, that's created this whole other space as well of people connecting to me that are connected with you in some way. And it's fascinating. It's like a lot of it came from your work originally, you know, connecting with Lindy Kehoe with the Luminosophy and her contributions to that album. And so that's another aspect I know people would love to hear about, your working with all these other people in the music community and in the earthy, you know, like rootsy community of people connecting with the earth, you know, like I feel your support for permaculture, identifying flows of people. And that's my little Elfie jammy of a pile of questions. You can smother that on like jam on a biscuit and go wherever you want with that, brother.
Nice. I mean, you brought up a lot of really great points there that sort of pivot from the conversation about music being this statistically driven, economical, you know, left brain, like so much can get lost in this kind of seeking an audience. Like it's like you're sitting there, you're trying to like crack the code of the internet. You're trying to, you know, increase your followers and whatever, you know what I mean? It's like, that's pales in comparison to the real life, connections that, you know, and I'm trying my best not to hate on social media, even though I do hate on it. I mean, I'm trying to just be like, okay, you know, to not demonize, like to embrace, like we live in this era where these tools are available and technology is ubiquitous, and you know, everybody is trying to share something, and so it's just like a lot of noise, and there's this digital atmosphere, and it's I just want to speak to how that can be very uninspiring and draining for a lot of people who may be aspiring to like share some creative juice out there in the world. So I want to say, like, yes, the real life, quote unquote, of people and experiences and adventure and stuff like this, like that is the juice right there, for, you know, for I don't know where I'm going with this. That like if there's a really so I was never blessed financially by this path, right? This like music making path, and for people who look into it, they would be surprised to find like even like whoever they think of as being like, oh, these guys have made it, you know, they're at the top. Like the music industry or whatever is like totally brutal, and
I've seen that.
It's just not something that like that you can expect to extrapolate it, like, you know. And I don't want to say that, I don't want to create limitations. I don't want to say like, oh, you can't do this or whatever, but the real rewards, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. The benefits and rewards that I've gotten from this path have been those people that you meet and those experiences that you've had. Like, I mean, even just something like, okay, you fly over here, and then, you know, the festival environments, you know, I don't do too much of that these days, but when I was more saturated in it, I mean, that was always inspiring and life-changing to meet the people in that geographical bioregion who are going to be artists or gardeners, or like a little bit outside of the realm of just like grind, money, survival. Like people who are just kind of like, yeah, but I'm alive too. And like, what else is there in this human existence that's like non-linear, or, you know, like soulful or creative or paradigm shifting, or, that the true blessing of situating myself among these other creatives, creative people, and like dreamers, and those experiences have been the greatest gift that the musical path has given me, has been like meeting these people, going these places, like
Let's go.
And, yeah.
Love that. Let's go,
Wake the farm up.
let's go, like people are going places, and like while you're even describing, some of your experience, I was like visualizing you getting to share your music and watch people dancing and like just like feeling, I guess, what I really call in those environments a space where everybody's being really present, especially when you're looking around. Nobody's like got their phone out making content. It's just like you're in the moment creating that live experience. And, like I could just feel that for a minute, and that's part of what I really get a jam at with music festivals, being in that experience of, being really present.
I mean, that's really, I think a lot about social psychology and psychology and, all these kind of things. And, the way I look at it is like we're all trying to get to those moments of presence. Like that's the point of like these festivals or gatherings, or is we're all just trying to arrive and then float in the stream for like a little bit and then, you know, our minds and our lives. And because I mean, I just want to be real and speak to that. Most of us are faced with survival as a motivating factor of existence.
For real.
Like some level of like, I got to do this shit right now, you know?
Yeah, for
That
real.
kind of distracts us from our ability to just like let go and go, like, look at that, the sun's out, and like, oh, you know,
Look at the
what do I
shape
feel
of
like
the
going
cloud.
over there? I mean, that would be so nourishing if we could just sort of like be in that mode more often. But
Hey, that's what we're doing right now.
oh yeah, the elves, they get to chill like that all the time, huh?
Yeah, we're sitting over here on an old Baldwin piano, just checking out this show, man. Yeah, sometimes you gotta just sit back and listen to a good show and look at the stars. Hey, you know, that's what we do sometimes. But most of the time, we're out here moving microorganisms and mycelium and spores and all kinds of things. It's so much to do. It's so fun. I can't help sitting down once in a while, though. Yeah, I know, but you gotta just get up and boogie, boogie, boogie. Sometimes, you know, just shake it all off.
Okay, cool, guys. Cool. Can we go back to our show now?
No, not yet. We want to tell you one more thing about this thing we have to do in the forest sometimes.
Can we maybe get into that in a little bit?
Okay, fine.
All right, cool. Yeah, I love those guys. They are actually chilling. They are pretty busy most of the time, moving bugs around and all kinds of things.
Right. But it seems like they have a more playful, like, you know, I don't know if like elves have to like pay taxes and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe they do in the elf world.
Yeah,
The elf kingdom.
I know they like to joke about faxes, and they have all kinds of spreadsheets and scrolls and things like that, and they keep records of things like how much they weigh, but they have like their unit system is like everybody's got their own unit system, so it could say like one trickle trickles, and that could mean like, you know, 3 dollops to one person, like six lumps to another. You know, it's like they all have their own conversion systems, and so it's kind of madness. But they all laugh about it, and they're pretty cool about it. So that's the best part. You know, they get along.
Right. Sort of like a chaotic organization to it. Yeah, I can feel that.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you? I mean, so you play a lot of different instruments. Do you have a favorite instrument that you find is like kind of one that you can get into to, you know, just like get your creative juices, kind of getting a foundation for a flow, or how do you kind of go into it?
Absolutely. You said the word right there, foundation. So the foundation is the bass guitar. It's always been that way. That all the songs, and that's going back to talking about the dub roots music, and I identify primarily as a bassist, and when I play with other people and stuff, that's what I'll play usually as well. So yeah, most of the time when I'm working on a track and it's like click and then it's in the zone and like going somewhere cool, is after some sort of like really inspiring bass line shows up and starts expressing itself.
Nice. I love that. And it's like, that's like, I mean, for me, I imagine like one of your like go-to instruments when you just want to like go in and check out. I mean, like bass is I mean, that's the one that like the sound that really makes me feel like a worm like flying through the soil, you know, or a mole scurrying around underneath like some really cool like damp roots and stuff. And it's a cool place for the foundation to come from, and it totally makes sense. Yeah, so then you can just like build a whole, basically what I'm picturing right now is like a whole forest of soundscape around that.
if you walked into a forest and you wanted to feel the vibration of the forest, it would probably be something low, like whirr, if you like really intuitively was like, if you were like, what does this forest feel like? There would be something going whirr, which is like the overtone, like the thing that holds the whole forest together. And then all the other like those are the bugs and like all this crazy stuff happening. And so that would be like the all the stuff on top. Like in the music, all the stuff on top is going, but then down below it's like and yeah, and like if you go into a forest, like you can feel the relative nature of time in the sense that like the higher register, like all the bugs and stuff, they all have like a short lifespan. They're all like, they blip in and out of existence, like beep, boop, beep, 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 beep. You know, they live for a little bit. But then like the trees and stuff are more like, whirr, you know, they're like vibrating slow and constant for a long period of time.
Reaching up, reaching down.
How'd you like that analogy? Does that work? Yeah, there's like a music. The music has that thing that holds it together, and then all the things that dance on top of it.
Oh yeah, I love that. I love that. That was fun. That's like, you're bringing words to this music, which is aspect, you know, I really appreciate about it, how there's not often that like words at all, so it really does allow that space for your own thoughts to eventually, like, you know, if you have too many words going on inside of your mind, you know, very shortly into your music, there's this like moment where it's all of a sudden I realize I'm just thinking in pictures and images and ideas, like all the words are gone.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I love that. I love that music that gives space for your kind of thought, your intuitive thought wheels to like spin around in, and like there's room for your brain. There's room for experience on top of it. Like it doesn't take all of you and like, you know, like take up all the room and be like, rah, this song is about love and you're gonna feel heartbreak right now because I'm saying like, since my baby left me.
I can't believe that he said something even specifically about a yellow purse. I mean, what are the chances? Dude, like 1 out of like 7 if you're just using regular color names like yellow. I mean, come on. Oh,
yeah. So, yeah, instrumental music is great to put on when you're doing stuff. Like, yeah, a lot of people like I noticed that the visionary artists, like the people that actually like tune in on these levels, like you, where you're like, wow, man, I really appreciate the depth of where I can go with it. Like, tends to be like this, like, like permaculture, like, you know, or like painting, you know, or like these people who do these like sustained activities. Like I imagine if you like knit clothes or something like that, it would be something, you know, these kind of like long form activities that don't change quickly, but just sort of like flow. It seems to be good support for that kind of thing to when you're in that space of like, you know, you need 3 hours of a vibe kind of deal.
Wow. I feel that. Yeah. Like, that's like, you know, that's the peoples, you know, I love these peoples who are doing, and I'm celebrating these things that you're sharing, you know, like the peoples who are out here doing the things that humans have done, like for eons since we existed, you know, from the midwives to the, you know, the people holding space for grief, you know, for our families, to the people making baskets, to the people that are fishing and collecting and, you know, harvesting and foraging for their families and communities and connecting with nature to build their homes in ways that came from the forests around them. And, you know, people have been doing that for eons. And you just described like all those people are like finding something in the realm of your music. It does lead me to, I do have a question I wanted to ask too, like, you know, kind of maybe this leads in, connects into all of this, the name Kalpataru Tree. Can you share with us? You know, I know I've done research and looked up where it comes from, but will you share with us where it comes from, you know, originally, some of this name and how it came to you and how you connect with it?
Yeah, sure. The name it's sort of like, I think it was like, I was listening to like sort of like a non-dual teaching from Adya Shanti, I believe it was. And he was talking about a parable, you know, as speakers do. He had brought up this parable of the Kalpataru tree, and he was explaining like what that meant in terms of the mind, you know, because it's a mythological story from Hinduism on one level, but on another level, it's sort of like a myth or it's a what do you call, like a psychological archetypal kind of reality that's translatable to any human experience. Not it doesn't have to be Hinduism. It just happens to come from the Hindu way of things. But the general idea of the Kalpataru tree is that our mind is a great manifester, and so when you have intentions or aspirations or thoughts, you're actually sort of like putting things into motion that create worlds and realities and experiences. So the Kalpataru tree, the myth of it from the Hindu culture is that when you sit under this tree and you start daydreaming or thinking these thoughts, they become very real very fast. Like, because in quote unquote normal reality, there's a time lapse between thoughts and then the actions of those thoughts. So like you could be thinking some things and it takes several weeks or years or something for it to like come full circle and manifest or whatever. But underneath this tree, when you think a thought, it happens instantly. And so what happens to these people that sit under the tree is they're like, oh my God, I can manifest my own reality. This is amazing. And so they start going nuts with that. Like, I want this, I want that, I want X, Y, and Z. They start going crazy with desires. Like, give me the hottest girl ever. Or like, I just want to like, I just want to, you know, like they're just like, I want this, I want that, I want, you know, it's kind of like a genie in a bottle or some kind of thing like that. So the tree is sort of like, it'll just like manifest your desires immediately. And then what happens is you get to the lesson that comes from that experience of sitting under the tree is you get to experience the nature of desire being a fleeting, transitory, non-permanent sensation, because with every desire that gets fulfilled as you're like having desires and wishing them under the tree, there's a not so great counterpart to it. So if you're like desiring a giant cake or something like that to eat, like you're like, oh my God, this cake is so good. And then you get to the end of it and you're like, oh, I've got a tummy ache. I shouldn't have eaten so much cake. Yeah. And so you get to kind of like have all that. You get to sort of like short circuit or fast forward like the nature of desire and like experience like its immediate ramification on all levels.
That's so cool.
So basically it's symbolic for the experience of progressing through all your life's kind of stuff that happens to you, and then after you've exhausted, after you sort of like you're I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and then you start creating these experiences, and then they'll lead to the eventual falling away of desire itself, because you're like, you eventually learn by sitting under this tree that you don't really want all this stuff that you think you want. And then basically after that happens, you're enlightened and you go, ta-da, and you arrive at like I'm gonna just chill now or whatever. That's my understanding of the teaching. And but anyway, the parable was a little different than what I described, because it was like these children sit under the tree and like they start wishing all these things, and things go horribly wrong. And the person that's not sitting under the tree, that's watching the people wishing all the things, kind of gets an aha moment of like, oh, that's what desire is. Like, anyway, that's what I got for you. It's a very deep. You could write a book about the Kalpataru tree and the phenomena of it. You know, it's like a very deep subject of the nature of desire.
Yeah, it's like I want to like find the tree.
Yeah, and it's an actual tree that's in India. Like, there's an actual physical thing they call it. They have these things where they're like, that's the Kalpataru tree, and it's a very rare tree. And they're like, that's that. And I kind of named my musical project wrong, actually, because taru means tree. So I'm actually saying like, it's just like my horrible use of their language or whatever. Kalpataru tree. I'm basically saying like,
hey, it's 2024.
What is kalpa means like wish, I believe, or something. So it's like I'm saying like it's the kalpa tree. But anyway,
Kalpataru tree wish.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like I think I remember, something called like the El Camino Road or something, and I was like, that's funny. That's like saying the road. But it does communicate, into multi, bridges of community. And, I think, I don't know, for me, like there's a certain space and welcomeness to that. It's 2024. There's new forests emerging, like forests that never existed before that we know of. Maybe some other pattern similar of different types and different eons or whatever. But I mean, I know I got plants from, all the different continents growing wild in the forest around me, and that never existed before. And I feel there's a time and space for embracing and adapting into that. And, that's where I am. So that's, something I probably gathered when I was sitting underneath of local Kalpataru tree.
Yeah, that's great to be optimistic about the blending of the various phenomena and a new thing that might emerge out of that, and being optimistic and curious about this current time space.
Yeah, I mean,
point.
like on that, this is like something fresh, and I'd love to share it in the middle of this episode. This is my, little bits, like, you ever heard that saying, the squeaky wheel gets the grease?
Yep.
I mean, I've heard that saying my whole life, and it just like hit me one day. I was like thinking about like what I've been giving grease to in this life. And there's so many things in like our society that get so much grease. Sometimes you just gotta take the wheel off and replace it. And I feel like it's these times, like no more grease. Come on, let's go.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like we gotta just come to terms with where things are at and quit like trying to like deal with these old obsolete wheels.
Yeah. And
greasing them up and being like, time. Yeah, I hear you, man. It does seem like we do live in this I've always had that sense of like the precarious, like society, like how like society, quote unquote, like how much it seems propped up and very fragile, and yet it continues. Like the ways that are here are barely holding on, but it does seem imminent at some point to come up with another paradigm of.
Yeah, there's like the, I feel like it's time, like to get over what I would call the American Revolution, and let's move into the American evolution. I know some people are like, stand back when they hear that word evolution, and they want to go into a conversation about how they don't think we came from apes. That's not even what I'm talking about, but the word evolution is a word and it can mean so many different things. And what I'm talking about is us, like, you know, evolving, and that's, you know, a big part of it is celebrating, like what we're talking about here, you know, is like that part of humanity that does make baskets together and creates and grows gardens and a peaceful, beautiful, healthy life for everybody around them. And, you know, that's real humanity, and that's what's gonna like keep us rocking out here on this planet for a long time. You know, blowing holes in the ionosphere and things of that nature, you know, to have hopes to go live on another planet or something. I don't know about all that, but good luck to them. I hope that they, you know, don't mess up no Earth ability for us to live here without having to wear spacesuits and stuff. I just got deep with you, man. That's what I'm talking about. This is a conversation, bro.
Yeah. We're supposed to terraform this situation before we terraform. Like, we can't just like haphazardly like fumble around and then just leave a big mess and then like blast off to some kind of like dome on Mars. It's like, no, first you have to figure the Earth out before you go to another place. Mm-hmm. In the words of Bill Hicks, you know, let's figure out this food, air, water thing first.
Right.
Before we blast off into... Yeah. I wonder... It does seem like humans are supposed to steward this place, but it also seems like we're sucking at it.
I'll tell you, like, just something from my journey about, like, stewarding. So, like, I've been on this homestead here for probably, like, 15 years now, and I remember when I first came here, I had that concept, you know, like, I'm going to be a good steward, and I was really tuning in, trying to be, like, the best steward and, like, reading the land here and understanding its cycles and flows and patterns and energy movements and vectors and creatures and all those little elementals and you know, at this point, I really like realize that it's been stewarding me the whole time. And there's something like ironically funny about it. And there's like something deep and like Kalpataru about that.
Yeah. Like in our arrogant self, we're like, it's my job to steward the Earth. But then it's like, if you flip that, it's like like
all of a sudden it started making more sense.
It's like actually a steward. Yeah.
It all started making more sense. The patterns of things, like when things came in their due season, you know, like different medicines, when they showed up and when the weather patterns changed, when there was less water, when there was more water, all the different things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not, you're not like making these flowers bloom because you want them. It's like, they're like, no, this is when I bloom. Like you pay attention to me.
You said it, brother. Like I'm sensitive almost, and like I try to keep having patience with my, like, you know, everybody around me. But like I'll hear people say that they're planting flowers and things like that, which is really cool. But like I feel like they're what they say. Let me take that back. They're saying they're growing flowers. I feel like it's like appropriate to say you're planting flowers when you're placing seeds or like moving a plant. You know, you're kind of planting it into a new place, but it's growing. You're not doing that to the plant. You're nurturing it, perhaps by giving it certain environmental advantages, perhaps. But yeah, it's doing it, and I just think that there's like this whole other interaction that starts happening with plants when you can like really get your neurons like into that kind of zone, and it like has certain frequencies where you can actually pick up, as we were talking here, a certain kind of soundscape from the plants themselves, from their different hums and tones, and even the refractions of light in which the way the sun might hit them will very much resemble and be sensed as a giggle or a laugh or a snarl or all the different kinds of things. And it's, a wonderful way to connect with plants. And it's very, you get to create it almost in your own way in how you're sensing and connecting and communicating, but it happens really fast in the plants that are growing right around your common like spaces in which you inhabit for longer periods of time.
Yeah. I mean, you're
pulling out.
I dabble in gardening and things like this, and what I've learned is that that we can't impose our will on them. It's more about like timing is everything. Like I've so many times I've just like been like, all right, I'm going to grow this spinach and I'm going to put it right there. And then it's going to make spinach for me. And then I'm going to eat it. And then it's like, yeah, but it's a little too hot out. And you should have planted me like 2 months ago. And like, there's like nothing you can do to force your agenda onto its thing. It's like,
or you could
garden,
build a whole plastic ship around it with water tubes and tanks and pumps and electrodes and things that are all over, and you can automate it so you can watch it from far away, and you can hit buttons and be like, okay, I'll change the humidity around my spinach plant. And like you could do all that, but
but that's so much work.
So much work and so much like plastic things that eventually corrode and break and go to landfill. That's so much like energy going into like sustaining all these different little widgets so they spin and turn and heat up and cool down and all the different things and spit out certain amounts of moisture. And I mean, there's a place for some of that kind of gadgetry right now in our time, but let's like go eat. Like there's like, let's see what else we can do. There's so many other options coming from the forests around us, deserts around us, all the places, they got their like certain little amazing ways in which humans can integrate and connect with the earth in a very respectful and communicative way that like we're actually learning things from it. Your music, man, and like I don't know, maybe like I've just been like doing a lot of writing with words, and like your music and connecting with you, it's like the beautiful like how it does pull out a lot of my own word sound and trying to articulate some of the things I'm experiencing in a again, having patience. We've all been kind of going through thousands of years of different systematic, like neuron brain, confusion to get to where we are now. We're this whole information age, and it's like I got this like information bubbles like coming directly from the three-dimensional muscular world that doesn't always have words. It's a lot of pictures inside of this elf brain. And having a soundscape, like when I kind of can come in and sit by my fire, is one of the most amazing gifts that I can have and experience, really, to be able to share my gifts better. And that's my real like big hug of words around you and your creations of music, brother.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
That's pretty much like if I could ask for anything, it would be like could what I do be of value to someone else who's trying to create value? Can what I do serve people who are having these intuitive experiences and like just being of service to artists, dreamers, creators, poets and mystics and gardeners and all the ways of being that don't have a lot of, like you said, the grease. That society doesn't give a lot of grease to translinguistic, intuitive experiences. It's more like studies and dissertations and long, wordy, well-funded scientific university kind of things that seem to get the grease in today's existence.
Yeah, like I
So
don't know, like for every this is like Elfie joke statistics, but for like every 500 million that went to like investing in robots, I think permaculture maybe got $12.
yeah, it's totally well known that the permaculture people step up. It's not a financially motivated endeavor. It's something that people feel called to do because they believe in it or
See value in things.
that kind of stuff, all that inspirational stuff that doesn't give you a secure pension plan or something like that.
I'd rather be a free man in my grave than to be living as a puppet or a slave. And the harder they come, harder they fall. Let it all.
Yeah, that was a little. We were into the 70s reggae a little bit too over there. I guess the elves they love that cut. That was kind of a bizarre little. Wow. Thanks, guys. Thanks for sharing that little ditty. So appreciate you joining the Wake the Farm Up show. Is there anything else that you'd want to share with the people here? Your voice, like any messages that you'd love to share that are important to you? Anything that you want to share about where you're going? And I will say again, like everybody will be able to look up and connect with you on the show footnotes. So like that, all that kind of stuff, we'll have that there available for people. Is there anything else before we wrap up for this amazing conversation?
That's all. I want to just give more energy. I mean, to the grassroots, as we're doing this, whoever's listening, that's incredible that they're listening. And I think and so I just want to give more energy to, these dreams and these intuitions and these inspirations that aren't propped up by these edifices of I got other people's agendas, I guess you could say, don't lose hope, don't ever stop dreaming, if you're gonna definitely, I've got my feet in both worlds. I definitely have to do shit that I don't really, that isn't the most in my height, my greatest truth or whatever, but that holding on to some form of dream within you is what I would want to give anybody. If I could give anything to anybody, I would say keep listening, keep following these threads, Wake the Farm Up, Kalpataru Tree, all these people, we're real people doing real things in this world. And it's don't let that part of yourself die in the demands of life. Remember some form of soul or some form of Remember some form of soul or some form of inspiration beyond I'm trailing off. I just wanted to say thank you for listening and continue exploring the grassroots of the internet. Like if you found this weird thread of a conversation, like good for you, and like believe and keep searching for those little bits and morsels and threads and follow the good shit.
Wake
and
the farm up.
Stuff that's like artificially pumped, just let it fade back there somewhere because it's not as relevant as it pretends to be. And when you put in the work of like curating your journey with your sound, with your art, with your books and your music and your ideas and your community that you cultivate and your gardens, and that is just keep that alive, keep that flame of because I just want to say it's not easy, like it's not easy to keep those flames alive. So keep them burning. Mine's still burning, and I'm gonna deliver it. I promise. There's another album someday. Just and I have songs right now. I know that I'm not full of it. I've got them. They're brewing. I've got my studio set up, and I go inside of it and I cultivate, and there will be more juicy yum for y'all. So just stay tuned.
Wake the farm up. Yeah. Let's all give it up. Curtis Humphrey. Kalpataru Tree. Yeah. Look at these guys down here. Get up. Get up. Yeah. What are you there? Come on, wait. This is a good time. Here we go. No more words now. Get into it. Wake the farm up. Check out the show footnotes. It's fun, y'all. Much love. Wake the farm up.
Wake the farm up. Wake the farm up. Wake the farm up. What the farm? farm up.
Wake the farm up.